Hello, all my oceanography folks. How are you today? It's Monday, about 5 something, 5:11 or so, and just checking in, seeing how everybody's doing. Sorry about my wiggly screen here. Um, just a couple of things for you. I had some people confused about how to do the questions about latitude and longitude. In particular, exercise 1.1, we really had some disconnect there, and so what I'm looking for each one of those areas, start with Ireland, is you look at the north coast of Ireland on a map, any map you want, and you can use Google Earth and any map you want, and you look for the latitude of the north coast. Now, Ireland is in the northern hemisphere, north of the equator, so the latitude is going to be north, something north. And then you look for the latitude of the south coast, and that's the range of latitudes that Ireland has, right? Make sense? Then you do something similar with the longitude, and you look at the east coast of Ireland, and that will have a longitude value, and you look at the west coast, and that will also have a longitude value. Now, I think where people are getting mixed up with some of these things is that you start with, say, the north coast of Ireland, and you say, well, that's something, something, I'll make up a number, and I'm going to make up a number close to the real value. So it's something around 55 degrees north latitude. And then because you know you're looking south to find the south coast, you go ahead and put in something south latitude. Well, that's impossible because anything that's south latitude is south of the equator. So it's still going to be a north latitude, it'll just be a smaller number. It might be 50 degrees north latitude, right? I'm on the ballpark here, but I don't want to give it all away. So that would be Ireland's range of latitudes. And then for the range of longitudes, again, it's the same thing. Look at one coast and look at the other coast, but by looking at your globe or a map, you'll see that the prime meridian for longitude goes through eastern England, and so Ireland is west of England. So every longitude on each coast of Ireland, 2 longitudes, is going to be west longitude, right? And then you apply the same principles to the other 3 land masses of interest, so Baja, Yucatan, and New Zealand. And with New Zealand, of course, you want to be looking at both islands. So you take the far northernmost point of North Island and the far southernmost point of South Island, and then paying attention to where they are on the planet. The entire collection of those islands is south of the equator, right? So the latitudes have a range, both of which are south. Okay, so what was happening when I was seeing that that section really needed to be redone, I basically, gave you a placeholder 0 grade. Don't ever panic when you see that, because there will always be a comment that goes with it that says, this is why there's a 0 here. Maybe it's a file labeling, maybe it's, font aren't correct or something. Or maybe it's something in a question that's so off the mark that it's better for you to go back and redo it. And that's the case with this lat long question. So don't panic. Those zeros are always changed to something more realistic. But this understanding coordinates on Earth's surface are extremely important for any of our Earth sciences, not just oceanography. It's a good way to work it using oceanography, because there's so much of the Earth's surface is ocean, and ancient people actually had to navigate all over that ocean surface without any land references. So our entire ability to navigate on the planet, especially in the oceans, comes from recognizing and working with these issues of latitude and longitude. So that's that. And then the other exercise 1.2 was done pretty well for the most part. There were still some odd things about latitude and longitude. So if I go back to the lat long for Seattle, for example, it's approximately, and I'm not going to use the minutes, just the degrees, approximately 47 degrees north, 122 degrees west. Now that's a point. You know, it's not a complete point because there's no minutes and seconds there, but it's a point. And we call it Seattle. That's actually a broad point, right? So there's a range of latitudes and longitudes there, here. And then you express that as a decimal fraction of a degree by taking the number of minutes, in our case it's around 40 odd minutes, and you have to divide that by 60, because there's 60 minutes in a degree, and that will give you a decimal. I probably said the number of minutes for Seattle wrong, but I don't want to give it all away. So that's what you do with that first part of exercise 1.2. You need to be able to convert from degrees and minutes to decimal degrees. And you have to do that both for the latitude and for the longitude. And again, paying attention to where on the planet is Seattle. It's in the northern hemisphere, and it's west of the prime meridian. Okay? And the other thing that seemed to give people trouble was calculating the length of time it takes to travel across the North Atlantic Ocean if you're in a little boat tootling along with the Gulf Stream. And you know, it's easy to make math mistakes in there, or arithmetic mistakes, but there's really only one answer, and there's not much variability there. So you know, I don't know. I didn't go through everybody's calculations, but some of them were pretty interesting, either way too big or way too small. And those actually can't be redone because I gave you the answer already. But just to watch out for these math questions, there isn't a lot of math in the course, but there's always some. Every science course has got some component of math in it, and in our case, there's no algebra, no geometry, but there is arithmetic. You know, there's definitely some arithmetic. So that's it for now. I also want to say that I do have active on-campus office hours at Shoreline Community College, which is a long way from where most of you are. And they're from about 2 to 4 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. And I can do a Skype call from here. It's hard for me to do a Skype call from home because I don't have a nice big fat internet pipe for Skype. But I do have that here on campus. So if you need to talk to me directly, send me an email, we'll make an appointment, and I can have a direct interaction with you on Skype for any questions. Especially questions that are more complicated, that need more time to work out, that's a good way to do it. You know, you're pretty good about sending me your easy questions, and that's fine, we can keep doing that by Canvas or by email. Got all your intros, and yeah, they're pretty interesting. They're always really fun to read. I'm probably going to post a note to everybody about the Ebola situation, because a lot of people wanted to use that as an example of a lack of science literacy, and without getting into the detail of it now, because it's late and I need to leave, it doesn't really qualify in that respect. But I think I'm going to set up a discussion for us all where we can chat about that some more. People raised very good concerns, and yet the concerns don't really come into the category of a lack of science literacy. So if that was the case for your item 4 in the intro, I made a note of it on the comment. Otherwise, some of your comments are really quite humorous, and some of them are very realistic, and some of them were a little off the wall, but it's just a way to get to know each other a bit. So that's it for now. I will probably check in with you next week, and you definitely know how to find me. And wait a minute. There was a goof up on one of our exercises. Oh, but it's already fixed. It's on the home page. So you'll see that on the home page. Any questions? You know how to find me. Take care. Have a good night.